What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Hamlet, and we're bringing you another live edition. And today we're going to be talking about guess who is the best mechanic for your company. All right. So we'll give it a second here, see who comes up in here. I think I got to clean up the lens because it seems a little blurry. All right. But let's see who's up here at the wee hours of the night. And let me make the sound off because I know that bothers everybody's ear. But essentially, I wanted to talk about how's my day been going so far, and what's been kind of going on with me and the company and all that good stuff, and what I'm going through right now. Essentially, I'm in a U-Haul truck. I don't know if this looks familiar at all to you guys, if you ever driven in a U-Haul truck or not, but I'm not trucking per se, but I am. The front axle on the truck, what do you call it? The front axle. I'm sorry. The front axle on the truck, essentially, the wheel pretty much came off the truck. Almost did. Not sure if it's driver related or if it's maintenance related. You know, we just got the truck in September or August, and you know, I got a text message last night saying like with a picture of the tire, like pretty much just about coming off the truck, and he's like, you know, we got problems, and then come to find out, essentially the tire is pretty much coming off the axle. And the guy's up in Potsdam, New York, all the way 20 minutes from Canada, essentially, and middle of nowhere. Of course, that's what it always seems when we experience a breakdown, and let alone it's a kind of a breakdown that can easily take up a lot of time. All right, now we got a couple people coming up in here. We got David Kruger, first one in the house. What's up, David Kruger? And we got favorite little trucker, Anya. What's good, young bro? How you doing, Anya? How's it hanging out? So essentially, this video is asking you guys who is the best mechanic for your company. It's you. That's right. I'm talking to you. Well, you got a question for me, Hamlet. I'm not a mechanic, right? I don't fix trucks. There you go, David Kruger. Give yourself a pat on the back right there. Me. You don't have to be a mechanic, right? You have to just know the business, right? You got to know that this is a truck and you're going to need XYZ parts to operate the truck and keep it moving, right? And I say this all the time, right? You don't have to be a mechanic to know this business, right? So the situation is, right, pretty much the tire is just about to come off the truck, and what we need for parts, right? Because I was able to determine this myself because the driver sent me pictures and I'm able to see what I actually need. Maybe you might not be able to, but they have a lot of diagrams online, and you can easily figure this out. Driver sent me pictures. I know what parts I need. So the parts we need is a spindle. We need a spindle and we need a wheel end on one side of the axle, the front steer axle. Now, for those that don't know, the front, a spindle is very expensive piece of part. The dealer doesn't even carry this kind of part on hand. It's something that has to be kind of ordered, and you wait to get it in for 2 days, right? Now, the truck was able to get into a parking lot and was able to get into a parking lot and pretty much not get towed, but he can't really move the truck any further, you know. So we needed a spindle. And because of everything that I have dealt with in the past, I started breaking down the numbers, right? So, like SoCal says, right? Oh, and by the way, don't forget to subscribe to us on the SoCal Trucker Gang group on Facebook, all right? You can find that on Facebook. Just Google, just put it up on there on Facebook, search bar, SoCal Trucker Gang on there, and you can find it there. And we got a bunch of stuff that we share up on there. But anyways, also, we got 14 people up in here. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, mash that like button, mash the subscribe button, and drop a comment down below at the end of the video and let us know what you think of this video. And without, what I was talking about anyways, was that let's break down the numbers, right? So we need to get a spindle, and we need to get a wheel end, okay? So spindle, call the first dealer. They said it's $1,800, just a spindle. Now, when we replace the spindle, we need the wheel end, right? The wheel end costs about $400. Now, these are all prices I'm getting at the dealership. These are things that you are going to be doing, right? And shopping around for parts is very crucial, right? Because one place might be selling the part for $1,800, and another place might be selling it for $1,000, right? So I shopped around, and I actually found another spindle not being sold by the dealer for $1,000. So that's $800 savings right there, right? Then I start to think, okay, well, if I buy this spindle and the wheel's coming off on one side of the axle, let's just assume it's not driver related. More than likely, I'm going to have an issue on the other side as well. Am I not? You don't, in this game, you have to understand when things come in pair, you don't just replace just one, right? Would you replace one steer tire? No, right? You replace them together. It's the same thing with kingpins. It's the same thing with bearings. You just don't do one side. It's the same thing with brakes. You just don't do just the left side and not do the right side, right? So more than likely, if this is running out on the left side, it's going to be running out on the right side, essentially, right? It's pretty basic stuff, but, a lot of people don't understand that. But essentially, one tire is coming off on this side. It's only a matter of time before this one comes off. And it might not be a good situation because essentially the truck was on back roads. And luckily for us, because the truck was on back roads, it wasn't on the interstate, and this tire wasn't just launched off from the truck and hit somebody else, and then the truck had lost control. And I mean, we can go on and on, right? It could have ended up very badly. And essentially, we're glad that we're not dealing with that, and we're just dealing with the truck being at a shopping plaza, which he was able to pull off at. So, anyways, now that I'm thinking, okay, so it costs $1,000, right? Because now we're not at $1,800. It costs $1,000 to do a spindle. So if we do 2 spindles, that's $2,000. If we do 2 wheel ends, that's gonna be $400 each side. So that's $800. So now we're looking at $2,800. Plus, you're gonna need gaskets and a little bit of hub oil. So you could just round that price up to $3,000. Now you might want to replace the kingpins while you're there, because you got to take the kingpins out in order to replace the spindles. So that's another $400. So now we're at $3,400. Is the part that kind of bothers me the most about spending all that money which I don't have a problem about spending all that money. But what would bother me most is that we can go ahead and order all these parts. We can go ahead and order all these parts, essentially, right? And the axle might be messed up, right? The axle where the kingpin goes in might have a lot of play in it. And so when we go to put in fresh kingpins in there, and we already bought new spindles on both sides and wheel ends and everything, and the kingpins have play because the axles haven't been properly maintained, right? Because preventive maintenance, right, is actually a thing. Not saying that this was my issue, but the issue that I'm dealing with is because of preventive maintenance wasn't done. Well, like I said, we're assuming it's not driver error, you know. Had this been properly lubricated for a good amount of time, we would not be losing a wheel, right? So anyways, regardless, we can go ahead and spend all that money. It might not even be a viable situation, right? And plus, the truck is in the middle of nowhere. So now we would have to get the truck towed to somewhere else. And where the truck is at, it's going to spend about $1,500, right? And I'm not making these numbers up, you know. The closest place that we could possibly tow the truck from Potsdam, New York, is to Watertown. About 60 miles, give or take. So $1,500 plus the $3,500, we're at $4,000. We're at $5,000. We haven't even included labor, all right? We have not even included labor in this rate, just to do the front axle. And now I start to think like, dude, this is just a front axle and I'm about to drop $5,000 on this? This don't make no sense, right? I'm about to drop more than just $5,000, right? And oh wow, everybody's commenting on here, and I haven't even been seeing it. I'm sorry. All right, we got SoCal Trucker. What's good, brother? Hey, just got off the phone with you. Vast 90. That's a lot of labor now. Well, there you go, right? Because now you're spending money, right? There's a formula, right, where you get like, it's about, I wouldn't say half and half, but sometimes it's half and half or 60 to 40, right? So if you spend $5,000 in parts, you're at least gonna spend $3,000 or $4,000 in labor. I mean, let's get it straight, right? Because now, after all that's said and done, you're gonna need an alignment, right? And then you might need some other things too, right? Let's see what other comments we have here. Trucker Daddy, aka Johnny Quebec. I used to broker 3 or 4 taxis. Passion was always a concern. I was pretty good on keeping my machine serviced. I know lots more who won't touch anything unless they absolutely have to. Okay. My recent employer has a perfectly qualified mechanic. Funny thing is he's not allowed to put a tire on a rim. He's not certified, but he's perfectly qualified, and it will change a rim with a tire on. Too many regulations. How about a whole used front axle assembly? David Kruger. There you go, brother. And that's what we're going to be talking about. You know, having options and deciding what we're going to actually be doing. The kingpin's bad, and how did it get to that point? The kingpins, right? Here's the problem. The problem with you not driving the truck, and you're relying on the driver to send you pictures and trying to figure out what's the right way of doing something. The kingpins, from what I remember, they didn't have any play, right? But now, who's to say all that when a tire's coming off that the kingpins still don't have any play, right? The kingpins could be so worn out that it can make the axle bad, right? Essentially, just breaking it down for you guys, right? Let's just say this is the kingpin, right? And the spindle is here, and this is the axle, right? The kingpin moves just like this. After a while, nobody greasing this thing, this is gonna wear out here and here, right? It could wear it out so much that you will need to take the axle off, get it re-welded and re-drilled, and you can only imagine how much money that would take to get to just do that, right? So we can go ahead and spend money on the spindle, we can spend money on the wheel end, and at the end of the day, the axle still might be bad. Well, let's think outside the box here a little bit, right? What options do we have? The options that we have, folks, that I started to think about. What about getting a whole used axle, right? Because now I can't, I wasn't even thinking about touching the truck. I was just gonna bring it to a shop. But now I'm starting to think like, okay, well, let's wait a minute. Let's think about this. Am I gonna spend $5,000 in parts and maybe $3,000 in labor, $8,000 in, and I'm only getting a front axle out of it, or a rebuilt front axle? That don't make no sense. Like that, just like, I'd rather put my money in the motor or in the transmission than put that much money in a front axle, if that makes any sense to you guys. Angry gun owner, junkyard time. There you go. Got to protect your money. They won't rip you off. David Kruger, super styling mechanic. Hope all is well. Let's catch up to these things. I'm not in my truck, so I don't have my mount. So give me a second. But once it's all done, you don't have to deal with it until how many miles again? Proper maintenance. And with proper maintenance, you won't probably ever have to deal with that for the life of the truck, honestly. Anya, like you said, proper maintenance. See me along. I might have to change my kingpins too. My steers are wearing down funny inside the tire. There you go. See me along. How you doing, bro? But essentially, I started to think about it, and let's get this thing to come on. All right, so I started thinking about it. I called the junkyard. Luckily, I was delivering in Pennsylvania. It wasn't really too far away from the truck, and there was one right by where I was delivering the load to. And I said, hey, I got a T600. I have a Meritor axle, and you can find out the name brand of the axle by crawling up underneath the truck and scratching off the nameplate, or sometimes it's listed on the VIN. You can call the dealer and find out what axle you have or whatever. But essentially, found out I had a Meritor axle. I called the junkyard. I'm like, hey, can you give me a axle for this front axle? They're like, yeah. I'm like, how much is it gonna run? $500. What? Wait a minute. $500? Listen, I got a front axle, whole front axle, for $500. This thing is a brand new axle, folks. Right? I'm gonna open up the back, right, and I'm gonna show you. It still has the stickers on it. It came from a 2016 Freightliner that was rolled over, right? $500. That's all I paid. Compared to the $5,000 in parts and who knows how much more in labor, right? So the mission is this. I got the U-Haul truck. I put the front axle in here from the junkyard. I'm gonna drive up 4 hours to get to this truck, and I'll be there in the morning, and I already loaded up the truck with the tools needed to do the job, and we're gonna change this front axle out in the parking lot at the shopping plaza. That's literally what's gonna happen, because this is actually more easier to do than it is to change the spindle and all that other stuff. Because this, all you got to do is change the U-bolts out and change the drag link. It's actually easier and cheaper to do this than to actually do it the proper way. So you got to really think about in maintenance what you're going to do, because this can easily cost a lot of money, very easily. And sometimes it takes just walking away from the situation for about an hour or two to really come up with a very good concrete plan and cost-effective plan, right? So let's show you guys what we got going on back here. Okay, like I said, we are in a U-Haul truck, and right now, shout outs to my my buddy Ivan. If you're watching this, he hooked me up with the tools because I didn't want to go to Ohio to pick up my tools, and I could have bought a lot of these tools through Harbor Freight. I could have, but luckily he came in through for me. Let's get out of here. And turn on that light. And let's see. I wonder if I can turn on the flashlight. Okay, can't do it. And boom. Alright, so what do we got going on in here? Alright, so right now we got the engine hoist here. The only reason I brought that here is just to help me put the old one back inside of the truck. Okay, you don't really need this. You could just manhandle this for an axle. And we have a come along here, got a jack, got some hammers, got a little Harbor Freight generator to use for the grinder to cut off the U-bolts, right? U-bolts are those. Okay, let's show you guys smoking hot deal for this axle. All right, let's see where, you know, we got. Look, this is what I'm talking about right here. This right here, these are the original stickers of this that come on the truck when it gets built, right? Look, stickers are still on there. Look at this chamber. And this chamber is like brand new. There's very minimal rust on this actual and then you can see the kingpins, right? They're right there. Okay, so these are the kingpins, what I'm talking about, right? If the kingpins are so worn out, they start wearing out this part, which is this part is a part of the axle. And then this is what I'm talking about, that you would have to actually get welded and drilled out or whatever. But I mean, you guys can see, like, this is pretty new axle right here. Like I said, it came off of 2016. And all we got to do here is change the drums and the pads, and we're good to go. Also, this is an upgrade actually, because these are hub piloted. Lights ain't doing any justice, but you know, this is what we're gonna be doing tomorrow morning on mission. Let's close this up. All right, folks, so you understand what I'm pretty much doing. It's a big job. Not really. Actually, I don't even think it's going to take more than 4 hours to do this job. You don't have to be a mechanic to do this. All right? You don't actually have to even touch the truck. Just being able to source the part and figuring out a solution. Somebody could have easily got in a pickup truck. You, right? I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. You could have easily rented a U-Haul truck, pickup truck, whatever. Get to the junkyard, tell them what you need. They load you up. You bring it over there. You can get a mobile mechanic out there and be like, this is what I need. Let's agree to a set amount of hours to get this job done. But this is the way I'm doing it, right? It doesn't actually take that very, it doesn't take that long to do, right? And I'm going to do it myself. And I'm going to get everything as tight as I possibly can. And then I'm going to drive about 30 miles down the road. And I'm going to have a service shop. They're going to probably charge me $100. And I'm going to have them, hey, I just did this down the road. I just need you guys to torque down all these bolts on the leaf springs. That's how you use this, because otherwise they would be charging you $8,000 instead of you letting them get away with you letting them get away with only 100, not 8,000, right? So these expenses can easily cripple a business for sure, a young business, because there's only so many thousands of dollars that somebody has at the end of the day, right? So let's read some of these comments real quick. I'm actually considering investing in a service trucks. I'm starting to think there's more money in servicing trucks than owning them. I think so too, bro. Melon, I really do so too, bro, because everybody's breaking down, bro. You can get a little service truck and just fix batteries and tires and people who run out of fuel, and I think you would make a lot of money, or you could be that guy that'll help somebody out in a situation like this. I'm really considering buying a pickup truck, $2,000 or something, and getting a service truck for myself and just leaving it somewhere, maybe in Ohio or something, and just come to it whenever I need it, like a situation like this, so I just wanted to talk about what I'm actually doing. I'm pretty sure there's no YouTuber out here doing this kind of shit, right? I'm hoping you guys learned something off this video, right? And understand that you don't have to be a mechanic to do this stuff. You got to understand your craft. You have to understand there's parts to the machine that you're driving, and that this beast needs to be lubricated, right? And just by understanding few things like that, you don't ever have to even ever touch a truck. You don't. Just by you doing that, you saved yourself over $5,000. Even if you call a roadside mechanic to install the axle, and you went ahead and rented a U-Haul truck and you brought the axle over there and everything. Let's see what other questions we got. But anyways, folks, that's all I wanted to talk about. Later on, tomorrow, the action finally begins, and we'll be changing that out, and that truck should be on the road by nighttime, and we'll keep the wheels turning, the wheels rolling, the wheels earning, and all that. So if we got any last minute questions, go ahead and put them out now. If not, on the way out, don't forget, mash that like button, mash that subscribe button, and drop a comment below at the end of the video, and let us know what you think. We got point transportation. Stay focused. Yes, you have to stay focused, and you got to stay motivated. Breakdowns aren't always planned, and they're always favorable, right? But with the proper planning, the proper know-how of your craft, breakdowns could be exciting, you know, because right now I'm kind of taking a break from driving the truck, and I get to do this kind of thing. You know, it's fun. You know, I don't know. It's like a little road trip per se. You know, but to each his own, right? Everybody wants to do a little something different. Some people don't want to get their hands dirty. You know what I mean? And that at the end of the day, whoever wants it more is gonna be the one that's gonna put his hands in, you know, the most dirtiest thing or whatever. Hey, this is what we got to do to make shit happen, right? Because here's the other thing, right? You can easily bring your truck to a shop, but how long is your truck gonna sit in the shop before it's even looked at, right? And how long is it gonna take for them to order the parts? How long is it going to take for the parts to come in on order? You have a driver sitting in the hotel. He or she is getting upset because, oh, I'm not getting any miles this week. I ain't getting paid this week. Or, you know, I'm trying to, you know, break the bank and the truck broke down, or this, that, the third. You see what I'm saying? The way I'm doing it right now is the way any of you guys can do it. Right? Sit down, evaluate your situation. Essentially, the truck's only going to be down for 2 days. That's pretty fast, you know, considering the situation. You know, David Kruger, outstanding field fix, and in the Army, that's nothing. You know, we had when the helicopters went down, man, they would go down in the middle of nowhere. Right, in a soccer field, in Korea, and you pack up some tools, you get in the truck, and hey, let's go fix this thing, get this thing rolling, you know. And that's the way. If that's the way you gotta take care of things, that's the way you gotta take care of things, you know. Now, as a fleet owner, I have drivers, right, and so somebody can continue driving the other trucks while like I fix this one, you know, and this one gets fixed. Everybody's on the road happy, and then I can chill out. So maybe the position in my company now is me to be a full-time mechanic. Who knows, you know? But I'm gonna get back on the road for sure, you know. Let's stop playing games. But you know, a true business owner is not just gonna stop and say, "Oh man, I gotta shut it down. I gotta, you know, wait till road service gets here, or I gotta, you know, take it to the dealer and see what they're gonna say about it and all that." No, like, this is your business. You take care of your business. You do what you got to do to keep the wheels turning and keep the money earning. And let's get it out here, folks. Let's get that money, all right? And once it's fixed, you know where your truck stand. Usually we have to fix things because the last owner didn't do it. It could be worse. There you go. Point to point. Absolutely right. And without further ado, folks, at the end of the day, the choice is simple. You get busy living or you get busy dying. It's your boy Hamlet. Check y'all later.